Attention passionate Detroit, Lions fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Detroit Lions' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Detroit Lions fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Detroit Lions fans. Let's get to the news. Now, folks, if you've been paying close attention to the Detroit Lions, you know that this offseason has been filled with a mix of excitement, uncertainty, and a lot of questions about how this team will shape up for the upcoming season. The Lions, as many of you already know, are coming off a pretty strong 2023 campaign, where they showed flashes of potential that got fans dreaming about a real playoff push and perhaps even more. But as always, the NFL is a league of constant change, and the roster decisions made in the offseason can really make or break a team's chances. Today, I want to talk about one intriguing storyline that's been buzzing around: the future of wide receiver Tom Kennedy. Yes, that same Tom Kennedy, a player who has been with Detroit for quite some time now, but whose spot on the roster might be hanging in the balance this year. Kennedy's story is, in many ways, a classic underdog tale. He's been around the NFL for about 7 years now, but most of his time with the Lions has been as a practice squad player. If you look at his stats, they aren't eye-popping: just 14 receptions for 195 yards and no touchdowns during his NFL career. It's not the kind of production that turns heads, right? But what makes Kennedy interesting isn't just his stats, it's his perseverance and his journey. He's been a roster survivor, a guy who stuck around in Detroit through sheer determination, and that kind of resilience resonates with many fans. And let's not forget, he did get some meaningful game time in 2021, appearing in 12 games that season. That shows that he's capable of stepping up when called upon, even if he isn't the primary target. But here's the thing, things might be changing for Kennedy in 2024. According to insiders, his spot on the Lions roster might be in jeopardy. Colton Pouncey from The Athletic made a pretty bold prediction that Detroit is planning to keep only 5 wide receivers this season. Now, last year, the Lions kept 6, which gave players like Kennedy a real shot at making the team. But that extra spot was ultimately used to keep Isaiah Williams, a rookie undrafted free agent, who ended up being a healthy scratch for 6 weeks before being waived. So, with the team potentially trimming down to 5 wide receivers again, Kennedy's chances of making the final roster appear slim. It's a tough pill to swallow for fans who have followed his journey, but the numbers and roster planning suggest he might be the odd man out this time. Now, Jeff Riston from USA Today pointed out that if the Lions do decide to keep a 6th wide receiver, it won't be a walk in the park for Kennedy to land that spot. There's a lot of competition. Rookie Dominic Lovett has faced some struggles lately, missing time in camp and not showcasing the most reliable hands. So, his spot isn't guaranteed, even with the potential. Ronnie Bell has been making a lot of noise lately, earning some first-team reps alongside Patrick. Bell's performance in training camp and preseason has really boosted his chances, and he's been showing the kind of spark that coaches love to see. Jackson Meeks, an undrafted rookie, has also been impressive, both in preseason games and on special teams, which adds another layer of competition for that final wide receiver spot. And of course, let's not forget Tom Kennedy himself. He's always been known as the ultimate roster survivor, the guy who finds a way to stick around no matter what. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Detroit Lions news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. So even if Kennedy does manage to make the team, something that, given the current competition, isn't a sure thing, his role on the offense could be limited. The Lions are stacked at the wide receiver position, especially with Amon-Ra St. Brown leading the charge. The star receiver has become one of the most consistent and reliable targets in the league, and his presence on the field is a huge reason why Detroit's passing game has been so potent. Jameson Williams, after his breakout 1-0-yard season in 2023, is expected to take on an even bigger role this year. Williams' speed and deep threat ability make him a constant threat, and the Lions will likely lean on him heavily to stretch defenses and open up opportunities underneath for other receivers. Rookie Isaac T. Slaw has also been turning heads in camp and preseason, rising up the depth chart with some impressive performances. This means that targets might be more limited for players like Kennedy, especially considering the Lions also have reliable vets like Calif Raymond, who's been a steady presence in the passing game. What does all of this mean for Kennedy? Well, it's a classic story of a player fighting against the odds. His journey from lacrosse star, being drafted by the Boston Cannons in Major League Lacrosse, to becoming an NFL player is nothing short of remarkable. Being the first person to play in both leagues is a testament to his unique athletic ability and determination. Fans love him for that story, and that's why he's still a fan favorite, even if his chances to make the roster are slim. The Lions coaching staff will have a tough decision to make, balancing experience, special teams contribution, and potential upside. Kennedy has shown he can contribute on special teams, which might be his ticket to making the team, if not for his receiving skills. And when we look at the team's overall outlook for 2024, the Lions are full of promise. The core offense is solid, with Goff at quarterback, who has been playing some of the best football of his career. The offensive line is experienced, and the running game, led by Jahmyr Gibbs, is poised to be explosive. The defense, under new coordinator Aaron Glenn, has been improving, and the division itself remains highly competitive. The Packers, Vikings, and Bears all made moves in the offseason, but Detroit's focus remains on building a team that can not only reach the playoffs but go deep and challenge for the NFC title. That means every roster spot is crucial, and the coaching staff will be looking for players who can contribute in multiple ways, whether on offense, special teams, or as situational players. Looking at the bigger picture, Detroit's recent history shows a team on the rise. Since Dan Campbell took over as head coach, the Lions have adopted a gritty, resilient identity that fans have embraced wholeheartedly. The team's culture has shifted from perennial underdog to a squad that believes in itself and plays with a chip on its shoulder. That mindset is what has driven them to back-to-back winning seasons and playoff appearances in 2022 and 2023. But to take the next step, and perhaps challenge for a Super Bowl, every small detail counts. Roster decisions, especially at key positions like wide receiver, can be the difference between a deep playoff run and an early exit. So players like Tom Kennedy, who embody that grit and determination, are often the ones who leave a lasting impression, even if they don't make the final cut. Now, for Lions fans, it's about staying tuned and staying hopeful. The preseason has been a testing ground for many players, and the coaching staff is carefully evaluating each one to see who fits their vision for 2024. Kennedy's story is still being written, and whether he makes the team or not, his journey exemplifies what it means to fight for every opportunity. And let's be honest, in the NFL, sometimes it's the players who are underestimated that end up making the biggest impact, whether on special teams or as surprise contributors during the season. And now, Detroit Lions fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Detroit Lions. Do you think Kennedy has a real shot to make the team? Or do you believe the roster will be too stacked against him this year? I'd love to get your insights. Remember, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for all the latest Detroit Lions news, analysis, and everything you need to stay in the loop. This team is always evolving, and your passion fuels the coverage. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Lions!